Imagine this. You're climbing a ladder. So step by step, rung by rung, you're getting higher. You're going up higher the ladder. You're starting to feel good about how far you've come. You look down, you look back, and you see just how far you've come. But what if I told you that the very thing that's making you feel elevated, the very thing that's making you feel like you're way up there, is the very thing that's setting you up for a fall? That's pride. And pride, it's silent. It's sneaky. Pride is what makes you feel like you're winning right before it knocks you down. Jesus said in Luke chapter 14, verse 11, "For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." Before we dive into today's message, here's something that I need you to hear loud and clear. No matter how much pride sneaks into our hearts, God's love for us never changes. Pride might push God away, but He never walks away from us. Pride might harden our hearts, but His grace is still reaching for us. Even when we let pride take over, His love for you does not change. His love for you is steady. That's what makes today's message so important. Because this whole thing, it isn't about God abandoning us whenever we struggle with pride. It's about opening our eyes so that we don't let pride block what He's trying to do in our lives. So today we're going to unpack a few things together. We're going to go over 3 signs of pride that could be hiding in our lives. We're going to go over a Bible story together that shows how pride leads to destruction. And we're going to go over the simple, practical way on how we can replace pride in our lives with humility before that pride causes too much damage. Stay with me here, because what we're going to go over today applies to each and every one of our lives, and it will affect our relationships, our calling, and our walk with God. The first sign of pride in your life is that it makes you think that you know best. Let's be real here. Nobody thinks that they struggle with pride. That's what makes it so dangerous. You ever feel like you didn't need advice, that you had it all figured out? That listening to others was actually just slowing you down? Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18 says this: "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." And the best example of this is Pharaoh in Exodus. Moses stood in front of him time after time saying, "Let my people go." Moses is basically saying, dude, if you know what's best for you, you're going to take my advice. Let my people go. But the Pharaoh's heart was full of pride. He said, I'm in charge. I'm the most powerful. Who is this God to tell me what to do? And we all know how that turned out. Plagues, loss, destruction, all these horrible things that happen. Pride is what makes you unteachable. Like, hey, I've already been trained up. I already know how to do life. I don't need any help from anybody. I got this thing figured out. It makes you reject wisdom. And if you won't listen to wise counsel that's offered to you, you're walking into a trap. But even in Pharaoh's rebellion, God's love was still evident. He kept on giving opportunity after opportunity. He kept sending those warnings. And even whenever we fight against God, He doesn't stop pursuing us. The second sign of pride in our lives is pride is what makes us look down on others. Here's the thing. Pride doesn't just make you feel superior. It makes you see others as inferior. In Luke chapter 18, verses 9 through 14, let's think about the Pharisee and the tax collector. The Pharisee stood tall above them all, and he prayed and prayed. God, I thank you that I'm not like all these other people. I thank you that I'm not like all these robbers, these evildoers, these adulterers, or even like this tax collector over here. Thank you for not making me like him. Meanwhile, the tax collector's over there. He can't even lift his head. He's just over there beating on his chest. God, have mercy on me. I'm a sinner. Have mercy on me, God. And Jesus, He made it clear. The tax collector walked away justified, whereas the Pharisee did not. And why is that? because pride makes you think that you're better than others. But humility sees the truth in things. Now let's take a pause and let me remind you here that even whenever we're prideful, God's love for you doesn't change. Because we all struggle with pride, right? But we don't have to go through this checklist of things to earn God's love. It's our choices by when we let pride stay in our lives and we don't recognize it, that we don't get to fully experience God's love. See, his love for you never changes. But when we have hardened hearts and we have a prideful heart, we don't get to fully experience the love that he has for us because we're getting in our own way. So even whenever we're being prideful, he still calls us. He still invites us into a relationship with him. He still welcomes you back into his arms. When we humble ourselves and we recognize our need and our want for God's love, when we humble ourselves, he welcomes us back into his arms. Like I said, it's not a checklist. God's love is not based on our performance, but about who he is. The third sign of pride is that it keeps you from depending on God. Pride is so sneaky in our lives. Pride is the devil. The devil is a liar. He's deceptive. He's sneaky. So here's a few examples. You got that promotion? I earned it. Oh, you nailed that opportunity? That was all me. You overcame that tough time? Because I'm strong. But Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 17 and 18 warns us of this. You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. King Nebuchadnezzar learned this the hard way. Because his name's a little difficult to pronounce, I'm going to refer to him as King Nebi. In Daniel chapter 4, he looked upon his kingdom and he said this, is this not the great Babylon that I have built by my mighty power and for my glory? But the Lord said, oh, so you think you did this by yourself? Let me show you who's really in charge here. Old King Nebi lost everything. He went from that nice palace of his that he was living in to living like an animal. And only when he humbled himself did God restore him. But here's the hope in the story, that God didn't destroy King Nebi, but he redeemed him. So even whenever we let pride block us from God, he's still waiting on us. He wants to restore you. And even whenever we push him away and we run away as far as we think we can get away from God, he's still near. Because he's always with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. No amount of pride, nothing can get in the way of separating us from his love. So now we're going to go over kind of a way of how we can let go of pride so that it doesn't block us from receiving God's blessings. And here's the good news, that pride doesn't have to take over your life. You can choose humility before life just forces it on you. Because as we went over in the beginning, those who exalt themselves will be humbled, but those who humble themselves will be exalted. The first thing is, hey, acknowledge that everything that you have comes from God. The fact that I'm even able to sit here in this moment and make this video in front of you guys, it all comes from God. And I'm so thankful to be able to sit here and share this with you guys. But it's like just this opportunity of life, getting to experience life, waking up today, it's all God-given. The fact that I even have this opportunity to be alive today and to share this message with you guys, it's incredible. 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. What do you have that you did not receive? Every single one of our talents, every single one of our opportunities that we have, every single ounce of success that you experience in your life, it's all God's grace. You know, you look around and you see other people and you see, hey, this guy's good at this. Hey, this person's good at this. You have something that you're good at that other people envy and want. But we're not to be envious of others because God blesses us with the talents that he wants us to have. because he chose you to have that talent. That's his grace. The second thing we can do is to start serving. It's the pride that tells you, hey, you got to make a name for yourself. But Jesus, he washed the feet of his disciples. Even the Son of God knelt down and served others. He didn't need anything, but he made the choice to serve others. Matthew chapter 23, verse 11. I love this. The greatest among you will be your servant. If you want to push pride out of your life, start serving others. It shifts your focus. And the third most important, I feel like, is one of the most important things. This is my opinion. It's to stay teachable. You know, a lot of us, hey, when you get out of high school or college, or let's say you trained up on the job that you're working at, whatever, we have to stay teachable, guys. You don't know it all. I don't know it all. And to stay teachable, we can surround ourselves with people in our lives that's going to speak truth into our lives. If there's nobody in your life to correct you or give you guidance or assistance, pride is already winning. So if you look around you and you're like, nobody wants to help me, I can never get help from anyone. Well, take a second to reflect and ask yourself this. Am I the one that's rejecting the help because I think I got it? Because I want to do things my way? Am I rejecting help and that's why I feel like I can't get any help? Proverbs chapter 27, verse 6. Wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies their kisses. So let's break this verse down a little bit. Wounds from a friend. It sounds like a friend or somebody who's trying to give you some wise advice. They're just trying to help you. But if you see them as an enemy and you reject their help, it's going to just be like knife wounds, just keep stabbing you. If you see everyone as an enemy, how are you ever going to get help? If you think everyone's got you as their worst interest, that they just want to destroy you, and you accept that fate, you will be destroyed. But if you see that, hey, these people want my best interest at hand, they're trying to help me, I'm going to take this help. Because the wounds from a friend can be trusted. At the end of the day, every single one of us has a choice to make. The choice is yours. We're going to wrap this video up. Let's just go back and talk about pride is such a silent trap. It makes us unteachable. It makes us look down on others. It keeps us from depending on God and feeling like we got it. But it's humility. Humility leads to wisdom. It leads to grace, and it leads to elevation in God's timing. James chapter 4, verse 10. Humble yourself before the Lord, and he will lift you up. And the main thing that every single one of us needs to hold on to, cling on to this, is that even whenever pride creeps into our lives, God's love remains the same. He doesn't love you any less whenever you're prideful. He doesn't walk away whenever you mess up. He is patient. He is kind. And he is always ready to restore you. So today, choose humility. Not because God stops loving you when you're prideful. That's not a thing. That's a lie. But because you don't want pride to keep you from experiencing his love. His love for you does not change, but it's our pride that blocks us from fully experiencing and feeling and knowing that we're loved. It's our pride that keeps us from feeling that and knowing that you're loved. If you enjoy this message, please share this with everybody today. Share it, share it, share it. I thank each and every one of you guys. I love each and every one of y'all. I believe in every single one of you guys that together, when we make the choices that align with his will, that we can get that pride out of our hearts. I hope each and every one of you has had a blessed week this week. Don't y'all forget, only way is up.